Good afternoon and good news. This is our last devotional on meekness, our beatitude of the week. Pastor Chris told us that we were going to have to wrestle with this one, and he was right. What is meekness? Is it even really a virtue? If it is, do I really want it? These are tough questions with meekness. This really came home to me in our home fellowship group. We were trying to define meekness, and someone Googled the opposite of meekness. Those are antonyms for those who remember English class fondly. Well, here's the list they found. The opposites of meekness are being obstinate, proud, unregenerate, domineering, stubborn. That is a terrible list. I don't want to be obstinate, domineering. I don't want to have my way, to make everything about me. I thought we were making some real progress as a group until we looked at the synonyms for meekness. Here they are. Tame, low, small, soft, spiritless, mild. The list of synonyms is not much more attractive than the opposites. Tame, soft, spiritless. If that is what it means to be godly, do I really want it? I think part of the problem is that we think of meekness as a personality type. In our culture, we're immersed with Taylor Johnson and Myers-Briggs and disc profiles and the Enneagram. All of these things we think in terms of, I need to figure out who I am. And when it comes to meekness, we say, well, does that mean that if I'm meek, that I'm the type of person, the personality type that never speaks up, that never takes a stand, that I'll always be taken advantage of then? Meekness is not a personality type. It is a choice. It does not mean that I always give in or that I always give up. Meekness is willing to take a stand. We see this in the epitome of godliness, and that is in the person of Jesus. Jesus was strength under control. Jesus was not weak. He was more than willing to speak up, to take a stand, to not give up or to give in. But he did it at the times that were in submission to his Father's will. And that's really where the heart of the problem lies. Whenever I think about meekness, I find myself getting locked into thinking about how it relates to me, to my agenda, my way. The meek person in the Bible, however, makes much about God, his agenda, his way. He endures hardship as a good soldier of Christ. The Apostle Paul is a great example of this in 1 Corinthians. In Corinth, there were factions of people fighting for preeminence in the church. Some said, I follow Apollos. He's a much better preacher than Paul is. Others says, I follow Peter. He was with Jesus. Others got very spiritual and said, I don't follow any man. I just follow Jesus. But what does Paul say to this group who are eager to find the first place? He says, while there is jealousy, this is 1 Corinthians 3, and strife among you, are you not of the flesh and behaving in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, and another, I follow Apollos, are you not being merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. Later on in chapter 4, he adds, what do any of us have that we have not received? Why then do we boast as if I am something in myself? Everything I am or have has been received. Paul is more than willing to enter into the fray. He could be forceful. He could be strong. He could be a great debater. But Paul only did so for God's reputation and not his own. To be meek is not to be weak. It is to be to have strength under control. To be meek is to choose to exercise strength when God's name is on the line, and to be much less concerned when it is merely mine. Paul was more than willing to flex his muscle for God's reputation, but for him, it wasn't that important. Now, is that easy? No. You know what? It is beyond being human. But there's good news. God gives us supernatural resources. If we are willing to listen to his Spirit, he can lead us to know when to submit, when to relax, when I'm fighting for myself and not for him. And when I do, oh, what promises God gives us. God gives grace to the humble. Humble yourself, and he will lift you up. Or, yes, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth.